Coming of Age is coming up next. I'm your host, Emily Echeverria. Today we're talking with orthopedic surgeon Dr. Geoffrey Hancy about the source of many of the aches and pains that come with aging, arthritis. Next up, we'll be finding out what's new at the National Naval Aviation Museum, which was recently reopened to the public. Finally, we're talking with our local and state representatives with AARP about the current state of affairs for Florida's older adults and what this organization does for those citizens. Stay with us. Coming of Age starts right now. As we age, staying active in life and involved in the community can become a challenge. But with Council on Aging of West Florida's wide range of home-based services, you remain healthy, independent, and engaged. From Meals on Wheels and respite care to senior dining sites and the retreat, you'll find the support and connection that you need to age well. Aging looks different for everyone, and we're here to help you meet your needs and thrive while maintaining what makes you, you. We've been in the community since 1972, advocating for elders and supporting those who care for our parents and grandparents. Now, join us as we discuss the age-related issues that matter to you. According to the CDC, 58 million adults in the United States have been diagnosed with some form of arthritis. That number is expected to grow to 78 million by 2040. Here today to discuss this health issue that affects so many people is Dr. Geoffrey Hancy, an orthopedic surgeon with the Andrews Institute. Thank you, Dr. Hancy, for taking time out of your day to be with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Happy to be here.
We hear about arthritis all the time, so what exactly is it?
So there are many different types of arthritis. Osteoarthritis, most common form we hear of, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, but they all typically have the same outcome, and that's the progressive loss of cartilage in the joint. So our knee, the bones in our knee joint, they're covered with cartilage, which is protective. It's designed to weight bear. When that cartilage wears away, that bone becomes exposed, and that doesn't like to be exposed. It gets painful, causes inflammation, and that leads to the pain that we see in the symptoms of arthritis.
So you mentioned arthritis in the knee. Where else can it occur in the body?
So it can really occur in any joint in the body. Most common areas are the weight-bearing joints, the spine, the hip, the knee, less commonly the shoulder and the ankle, but can occur anywhere in the body.
Okay. Are there people that are more susceptible to arthritis than other people?
So the most common predictor is age. This occurs, vast majority of it, in people over the age of 65. There's certainly a genetic component as well, so we see it run in families. Most of our patients who we're seeing and treating, they'll tell you about a mother or father who had a hip replacement or a knee replacement or something along those lines. So there's a strong genetic component there. It's increased in people with increased body mass, so people that are overweight, puts more stress on the joint. People with labor jobs spend a lot of their time working on a concrete floor or a factory floor, putting more stress on their joints. And then there are other things such as post-traumatic arthritis. It can occur after an injury or a trauma, such as a car accident or something like that.
And when does it typically start to show in patients in terms of age?
So once again, that vast majority of people is age over 65. We'll see it in any age group, but there's, if you look at the curves on it, there's a real uptick at that age of 65 where we see a high increase in people that are symptomatic with arthritis.
How might a patient know if they're feeling something that may be arthritis versus just the normal kind of aches and pains that people go through?
So I would say that, the arthritic pain, it's usually isolated to that joint. Sometimes it can refer to other areas, but the most classic kind of thing people describe is when they've been sitting for a long time or when they first get up in the morning, that joint's really stiff and it aches and it's very painful. As they kind of get moving and walking some, it loosens up, tends to feel better, and then maybe after they're on it for a long time, the pain will return, and it's usually constant or more progressive, kind of a typical ache and pain from a sprain that usually resolves rather quickly, whereas the arthritic joint's going to continue to be a pain generator.
I see. And when is it time to come see you? At what point would a patient say, okay, this is a pain, it's not normal, it's something I need to go visit a doctor to talk about?
So I think when it's early and you're first starting to feel those pains, it's perfectly reasonable to treat it with over-the-counter anti-inflammatories, Advil, Aleve, Tylenol, things of that nature. The time to come see us, I think, is when it progresses to, it's a daily pain. Those things really aren't cutting it for you anymore. That's interfering with your, daily life, your activities of daily living. That's a good time to come see us, see if we can provide some more benefit for you. Other thing would be is if it's something atypical, if your joint's hot, red, and swollen and it's concerning to you, you'd want to come see us sooner than later.
What are the typical treatments for arthritis?
So to start with, the over-the-counter things we mentioned, anti-inflammatories, which we all refer to as NSAIDs, those are the best kind of first-line treatment. Other things that can help, and they're also a little bit slow the progression, are just maintaining a good body weight, low-impact exercises like cycling or swimming, ellipticals rather than running or something that's high impact. After those things, you can try bracing. It's kind of plus minus. Some people get relief from bracing, some people don't. Next line things that we would provide are injections. There are many different types of injections out there. Most common ones we talk about are corticosteroid or cortisone injections generically. Steroids, a strong anti-inflammatory, so it's just taking the inflammation out of the joint, and it works really well. There are other injections such as viscose supplementation. Some people call them gel shots or rooster shots, but they're okay. They're trying to put more lubricant in the knee, kind of a cushion in there. The evidence on them is a little bit kind of hit or miss, but they're safe and they're a good, effective tool to try to give somebody some relief. Ultimately, kind of the end game, especially for a surgeon like me, is joint replacement, such as hip replacement or knee replacement. And the timing of that really is patient dependent. If they've done all these other treatments, they're really not getting quality of life from those treatments, and it's really kind of slowing them down. That's kind of the patient's time to decide, hey, joint might be the right way to go for me.
Okay, is surgery the most likely outcome if someone has kind of that persistent arthritis?
Yeah, probably. If they get to a moderate severe level and it's really affecting their life, I think that surgery is the way to go. And if they start dealing with arthritic pain earlier in life, say in their 50s or early 60s, I feel like most of those patients do progress to surgery, because at some point they're going to be frustrated by the pain.
Are there patients for whom the injectables are a long-term treatment, or is that something that is only going to last so long?
It's variable. There are certainly patients that get more relief than others. Say with a cortisone injection, I think a good result is 3 to 6 months. A poor result would just be a few weeks. And then early on, there are some patients that may get more long-term relief, like a year. The gel shots we talked about, if they get relief, some people can get up to 6 months, but that's a little hit or miss itself. There's other injections out there people are trying now, like PRP and stem cells and things like that, and the data there is not great yet to know whether that's really going to be beneficial in arthritic pain.
Okay. So can you cure arthritis, or is it something you treat and manage, but it's never fully cured?
So unfortunately, it's not curable. If you come up with that, you're a billionaire. So the ultimate cure, I guess, is the joint replacement, but otherwise it's just symptomatic treatment. Everything we do is driven towards trying to help patients with their symptoms.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this information.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Up next, we set our course toward the National Naval Aviation Museum to find out what's new. Stay with us.
If you're looking for a fun and exciting environment for your loved one, then L&L Executive Adult Daycare is a perfect fit. We offer social gatherings, physical activities, games, outings, and daily luncheons from Karen's Catering. We take a holistic approach to social stimulation and aim to enrich the lives of our guests. Let us help restore your loved one's mind, body, and soul. We'd love to speak to you. L&L Executive Adult Daycare. Big business love with small town feel.
The Reesburg Institute, Pensacola's ear, nose, throat, and voice center. We welcome you to visit us at our convenient Davis Highway location in Pensacola. At the Reesburg Institute, we offer the most advanced treatment available in a calm, stress-free environment. Since 2014, we've performed over 1,000 cases in office of balloon sinus surgery, as well as septoplasty and nasal procedures using oral sedation. The in-office procedures result in a faster healing time. Visit us and feel the difference. The Beacon at Gulf Breeze offers the finest senior living community in the area. We are here for your loved ones who need assisted living and advanced memory care services. Seniors will feel right at home with studio, one-bedroom apartments, a large dining area, a beautiful landscape courtyard, and even a salon. With professional staff and one-on-one care, your loved ones are our top priority. Welcome to the Beacon at Gulf Breeze. Welcome home.
Jason, let's go see your room.
How is it? Is it good?
The National Naval Aviation Museum is an iconic destination that showcases the wonders of flight and the people who've made history in the skies through the ages. In May, the museum reopened to the public, allowing civilian access to this rich educational and historical resource once again. We have Naval Aviation Museum Foundation Director of Education, Dianna Hayden, here to tell us more. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Emily. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, first off, tell me a bit about your role as the Director of Education.
So my role is to engage the community. I do outreach for the community. We do educational programs like for Scouts. We have a Scout Saturday coming up. We also are partnering with Women in Aviation International Gulf Coast to have an event called Girls in Aviation Day. We also have programs out in the community. We do something called the Museum in Motion. And for that, we visit libraries and assisted living facilities, retirement communities, in order to deliver content. We also have something that's probably the most well known in the community, and that is something called the Flight Adventure Deck program. So that is a middle school field trip program that serves Escambia and Santa Rosa counties and has been in effect since 1996. And we also run a summer camp.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. So most people who have lived here for a few years are familiar with the museum. How would you describe the museum and its mission to people who aren't as familiar with it?
Well, the museum itself has a mission to preserve history, right? Protect history. And that is without a collection, there is no museum. And then we elevate that to educate the public, to inspire the public by telling the stories of naval aviation. And so together, that's what the foundation and the museum do together.
Excellent. What has the response been since the museum reopened to the public? Because it was about 3 years that it was closed to civilian access.
Right. So it's been overwhelming. So we have had such positive feedback. Everyone has rushed to the gate, which has caused a few delays at the gate, of course. But I actually walked through. We have this group, you may know them, the Blue Angels, that practice on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Very popular days to visit. And sometimes there are backups at the gate as still, that stuff's being ironed out. But if you ask people on those days how long it took them to get in the gate, and they may say it took them a little while, but they'll still say, we're just so glad to be here. So it's been fantastic. By the way, anyone who visits needs to come through the West Gate, which is Blue Angel Parkway, just as a side note.
Good to know. You mentioned some of the upcoming educational events. Were there any more that you wanted to talk about today?
Sure. So one more time, I just want to mention the Scout Saturday program that's going to be on September 16th. Right now we have a full docket of kiddos. We're doing 45 aviation merit badges that day. But people can email me to get on the waiting list. We do have a waiting list right now for that. We have the Girls in Aviation Day event. Again, we're partnering with Women in Aviation International for that. And we have some great guest speakers. Tammy Jo Schultz, who was former Southwest pilot and naval aviator, and Fleet Master Chief April Beldo-Lilly. She's going to be there. And we have, last year we had 16 exhibitors and we already have 180 girls signed up. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic day. And also we have, for our homeschool community, we're partnering with Florida Power and Light to have Homeschool Academy, the museum classroom sessions. The first of those is September 25th. And we're going to have one a month through the entire school year for our homeschool community. So we're so excited about that too.
Wow, that is awesome. And do you utilize volunteers with the museum and all these programs?
Absolutely. So I work with the best group of volunteers. We call them the navigators, and we have a huge, quite a spectrum of talents and gifts that they bring to the table, and they mentor me, and they are always on board with whatever we plan. They're just fantastic. So I could not do any of this without the navigators. So
awesome.
Yes.
What are some of the new additions that have come to the museum during that period when it was not open to civilians?
So one of the biggest things you will notice as soon as you walk in the door, so we have a Nimitz flight deck, and at the back of the carrier deck now, so right now there was a floor for a pretty long time that was the Nimitz flight deck when you walked in. But now there's a huge screen behind it where an F-18 lands on that carrier deck every 45 seconds. So kids love it. It's all screen-based, of course, but kids love it. They get their picture taken. It's really fantastic. We also have some holograms. They're called holotubes of the flight deck crew, like the purple shirt and the yellow shirt and all the crew that maintain the flight deck for flight operations. So that's really fantastic. We also added the Devotion exhibit. So if anyone's seen the movie Devotion about Jesse Brown, the first African-American naval aviator, we actually got the Corsair from that movie. They donated it to the museum, and we created an exhibit for that to tell Jesse Brown's story. So really fantastic new exhibit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the most popular exhibits that kids and families love to come visit?
So I would say that Nimitz flight deck, of course, and also there are some turrets out there the kids really love to jump on and you know, pretend. Also, Homefront is one of the most popular exhibits. It's like stepping back in time right into the 1940s to see what it was like back home for the families who were supporting the heroes that were actually fighting in World War II. So that's one of the most popular exhibits.
I know I always loved that one as a kid, and then the underwater one as well.
Yes, Sunken Treasures. Yes.
What are some of the other attractions at the museum, like the flight simulator and the big screen theater?
Yes, so we do have flight simulators right now, the Max Flight, where you can hop in and actually control the plane. You can do flips and all kinds of maneuvers, just like the Blue Angels. You can also, there's another motion-based simulator that 15 can board and have some time in there. Also, the giant screen theater is really popular, as you mentioned. We have 2 movies right now, Aircraft Carrier and The Magic of Flight, which is a popular one. And so those are our attractions. I also forgot to mention that we have a POW exhibit that is going to be to commemorate 50 years of since Operation Homecoming, the return of the Vietnam POWs. My friend Umberto he's one of the exhibit designers. He's working on that feverishly. We're going to have that on display in April. So and it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be artificial intelligence. You're going to be able to have a conversation with Ev Alvarez and actually walk into a cell from the Hanoi Hilton. So it's going to be fantastic.
Spectacular. Well, I can't wait to come out there and visit. And thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Stay tuned. We're checking in with our local and state AARP representatives about the issues affecting Florida seniors next.
Over 2 decades ago, TLC Caregivers partnered with the Council on Aging of West Florida to assist seniors with non-medical help to stay independent in their own homes. Our commitment to providing these services started in 1989 and has grown to aid people from birth through geriatrics, from a short visit of 2 hours to 24 hours a day. We're a proud sponsor of the Council on Aging of West Florida. We're TLC Caregivers.
When cancer tries to take you away from the things that matter most, Baptist Cancer Institute offers caring physicians and the most innovative treatment options. With convenient locations and a wide array of support programs and services, we're here to help you during the most difficult of times. As a member of the Mayo Clinic Care Network, we're bringing even more innovative cancer care to our community right here at home. When you need cancer care, we'll be there.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
When you enter the world of autism, it can leave you feeling overwhelmed and alone. That's where Autism Pensacola comes in. We guide you through the maze of community services available to families affected by autism in the Gulf Coast area. We also offer programs like Kids for Camp, Sensory Street, Project Lifesaver, and opportunities for families to enjoy each other and socialize. And rest easy, because the second you walk through our door, you will never be alone again.
The AARP is a national nonpartisan organization whose broad purpose is to empower people to choose how they live as they age. They provide education, resources, and other benefits to members and work in advocacy for some of the top issues facing people 50 and over: health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. We've got local AARP Representative Stephen Rome and Associate State Director for Community Outreach Chris Turner here to tell us more. Thank you both for joining us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And first off, tell me about each of your role with the AARP.
Well, I'm a volunteer, and I've been a volunteer since about 2009. I've worked on the Executive Council for Volunteers, just came off a 6-week term with them, or 6-year term with them. I'm also a tax counselor for the tax program. I work on the CarFit program when we have it. And I'm a member of the Speakers Bureau and also the State Advocacy Bureau.
Excellent, so a lot of roles.
And so I thank you. My name is Christopher Turner, Associate State Director for Outreach and Community Engagement. My role is providing education information to the communities, covering from Tallahassee to Pensacola and the areas between, and working with volunteers like Steve, who you hear have done so many amazing things throughout the years working for our organization, and just to be able to provide information to the 50-plus population on issues like caregiving, fraud, financial security, and such that.
And for those that don't know exactly what AARP does, can you tell me about what the scope of the organization is?
Well, we're primarily, as you said, for empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. We have programs that include Medicare, reducing prices in medicine through Medicare, fighting to add prescription benefits to Medicare as Part D, providing coverage for telemedicine, which has proved very helpful during the COVID pandemic when people could not get out of their homes or were isolated. We also work for bringing low-cost hearing aids to the market. So we have our fingers in a lot of different pies.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of AARP's current advocacy priorities?
As I said, fighting for health benefits for seniors, but also fighting for financial security, keeping Social Security an earned benefit, not privatizing Social Security, keeping the COLAs, the cost of living adjustments, fair to seniors. We're also fighting to protect consumers. We have a fraud watch program. We've worked on the Do Not Call registry. And we're working to keep age discrimination away from seniors as in the job market. As some of our programs.
And I'll jump in. It's like working with the 50-plus population, there are a lot of areas that we cover, from nursing home quality, home and community-based services, family caregivers, affordability, prescription drugs, patients' rights, even roadway safety, disaster preparedness and response, age discrimination, and utilities is a huge thing that we're focusing on to make sure that these utility rates are staying maintained. So the organization covers a lot of different things that touch that population.
Absolutely. So what are some of the greatest challenges our older adults are facing in Northwest Florida? You mentioned some of them, I guess, with the advocacy priorities.
Right, but one of the biggest problems in facing seniors all over is loneliness and isolation. There was a report that came out from the Surgeon General's office on May 3rd of this year that indicated even before COVID, isolation was affecting half of the senior population, those over 65. And it's not just emotional problems. It results in a 29% increase in heart disease, a 32% increase in stroke, and a 50% increase in dementia in older Americans.
Wow, so it's another pandemic, basically.
Basically, yes.
Tell me about the Livable Communities initiatives and what can communities like ours do to become designated as an age-friendly community?
Livable communities are communities that are safe, secure, and affordable for older Americans. They offer choices on where to live, how to get around, public transportation, walking, and handicapped access. They're equitable for all residents of backgrounds and incomes. We want to allow residents to age in place and be active in their community. The applications for the age-friendly community and livable communities are best found on the website, aarp.org, because it's a pretty good list.
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of categories involved.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about the Safe Driver program. What is that?
Safe Driver program is a program that's available either as a classroom or a computer program. It takes approximately 6 to 7 hours in the classroom and about 4 hours on the computer. And older drivers will learn important facts about the effects of medication, how to reduce driver inattention and distractions, the proper use of the safety systems in the cars, and new cars are getting more safety systems in them. Mm-hmm. And if you successfully complete the course, you could be eligible for a reduction in your insurance.
Oh, excellent. Good to know. So how can people get more involved with AARP and what you all do?
Well, the first thing to do is log on to the website, aarp.org, and then search for the volunteer opportunities in the programs that you're interested. As I said, you can do as little or as much as you want. You can write letters to the editor, you can call on legislatures, you can speak at public hearings, you can help at tax time, you can do driver safety. There's any number of programs that you can volunteer for and do as much as you like. And as I said, it all starts with aarp.org.
Excellent. Is there anything else you want to let people know about AARP or what you're doing in our community?
One of the programs that we did with FCOA was speak at the various feeding sites in the rural areas of the counties. I think that it would be excellent if we could start that program up again. It was disbanded because of COVID. And it's great to provide the seniors a way to get away from isolation, to visit with each other, and to hear a little bit of what we have to say about fraud or driver safety or whatever.
And I think people will soon be seeing some AARP representatives at our community dining sites that Council on Aging hosts. So we hope to see you there soon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Until next time, enjoy life. You've earned it.